The Middle-aged Bodcast is proud to support Age UK's Act Now, Age Better summer campaign.
Act Now, Age Better is bringing together the world of sport, physical activity and movement on a scale not seen before to inspire people in midlife to get moving to lead a healthier later life.
It's the Middle-aged Bodcast. Getting older, but having some laughs.
Welcome to the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shelano.
And T.A., we're here with the penultimate episode of Season 7.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Season 7, Episode 9. Rattling through. Well, after a little break, didn't we? A little mid-season break.
We did, yeah. You know what? It was needed. It was needed. I think we would have burnt out on content a bit quick because we obviously had a few things going on, didn't we?
Holidays, house moves, World Cups, all sorts of stuff happening, right?
And so, we had originally tried to plan around it, but scheduling is quite difficult at that sort of time. So, yeah, had a short break. We're back, ready to round off the season in style, really. And we haven't had one of these little catch-ups in a while, have we?
We haven't, no. And on the holiday point, of course, I've been no-fly travelling again, Rich. I don't know what Liz McClarnon did when we spoke to her back in Season 4, Episode 1, but this is my second time hitting the European railways with Mrs. Shelano.
You know what, though? I mean, if there's one thing to say from the podcast that's come from speaking to any guest, this has been the thing that's probably had the biggest effect on one of us, isn't it, really?
I mean, that's disappointing for the brand because it should be health, fitness, weight loss, perhaps, but rather than something like this. But yes.
Well, no, I don't even think that, because if you think about it, you could talk about mental health on travel and things like that. I mean, I haven't done the complete no-fly thing, obviously, but you think about when you go to an airport and you're going away and you have to go through the rigmarole of your check-in, and then you have to go through the security, and then you keep doing all these things, right? And there's all these steps, and then you're sitting there waiting for hours before you get on the plane, and then you get on the plane and there's people who've had a few drinks too many and all this sort of stuff, right? And you kind of go, and you get a bit tense, you get a bit, I can imagine it's a little bit different doing that as a train thing.
I mean, it's a different experience. We talked about this, obviously, when we did the first one. So this one's been a bit different, having gone from down to the south of France and then back up to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam. But that south of France coast, having never been there, that was really, really stunning. Really enjoyed that. And we were staying quite close to the train station in a place called Saint-Raphaël, which meant it was nice and easy to then hop on to go to places like Nice and Cannes and things like that. So yeah, it's been a real experience. And I was amazed that Mrs. Shelano was so keen after the first time of she's like, no, let's do this again. Let's do it in the summer. Let's do this. And it's like, okay. And we did that. I mean, we did one overnight stay in Paris. So we went Birmingham to Paris, obviously via Eurostar. And then, the next morning we did Paris down to Saint-Raphaël, which was sort of just under 5 hours. And it was really nice.
I was just going to say, I've never actually been to Paris. I've been to France. I've had holidays in France.
Right.
Well, I've had one holiday in France when I was younger with my family. And I did a school trip to France. But I've never actually been to Paris.
Ah, okay.
I do want to go because there's Disneyland Paris has Avengers Campus.
There's always a superhero link. There was me. Do you know, I thought he's a changed man. He's going to be like, I'm going to whisk Raging Ruth off to Paris for a romantic getaway. No, he wants to get there to look for superhero stuff as usual.
If I was doing that, I wouldn't be telling Ruth via the means of the podcast. And we're still going to see some superheroes. I'm joking.
Here's the Eiffel Tower. Right. Now we're off to go and see Thor. It's just not quite, I don't know.
I mean, she might like that a bit better than, I was going to say Spider-Man. If you say Thor, she might go, oh, that's a better visual than you, Rich.
Well, I'm not going to say that. But what I would say is, how are you going to time it to get Chris Hemsworth in Paris at the right time? That's tough. You know what I mean? But all good fun. But so it's been another great experience. And I think it's just you meet people as well on the way. And I'm actually going to do a bit of a shout out here because we did meet a lovely couple coming back from Amsterdam on the Eurostar back to London, who were from the US, Russ and Rachel. I don't know, they won't be listening, but I'm going to point this out because it was such great fun talking to them. And what was brilliant, wait for it, Rich, because our world, our universe just keeps connecting one way or another, right? Listen to this, because this is quite something. They were from Wisconsin, from a place called Kenosha. And I went, no, the Kenosha Kickers. And they went, what? I went, John Candy's band in Home Alone were the Kenosha Kickers. And I was like, they're like, yeah, near Sheboygan and all. Yeah, I was like, that's where we're from. I was like, that film, which I love and which we covered for our Christmas episode, now has even new meaning. And when I watch it this Christmas, I'll think of them because of that. So that was worth, 4.25 hours on a train rather than an hour on the plane or wherever it would have been from Amsterdam. So big shout out to them, and hope they obviously enjoyed the rest of their trip before they went back stateside. But yeah, that was fantastic. Lots of people have said great cultural reference that, by the way, of that's your connection. If somebody mentions something, you go, you mean John Candy's band in Home Alone? They're like, I was like, I've seen that film so many times. I just straight away. I
mean, you mentioned Wisconsin, and I just started thinking of that 70s show. So it shows our different pop culture references there.
Yeah, well, yes, I wouldn't have known that one.
So there you go. It was that, or the former professional wrestler Ken Kennedy, who hailed from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Do you know, you've got great geographical knowledge of the US.
It's all because of wrestling.
Because of wrestling. I've noticed this. You know all these places and states and everything that you would never have known purely from that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, little did they know to improve your education and your geography skills. They just need to sit you in front of the wrestling.
You know what it is, though, as well? My geography of the UK is absolutely terrible. Wow. But I know if you mention certain states or cities, I can tell you. If you mention certain cities, I can tell you what state they're in, or certain states. I can do that. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It is a bit of a strange one. You know what, though? It's good. It's good that you've had another great no-fly trip. I think it's certainly something that seems to have stuck with you a little bit as an experience. And I'm glad. I'm really glad.
No, and I genuinely thank Liz for that, because it was so interesting. And the south of France was something she mentioned. And so when Mrs. Shelano and I were talking about doing a summer one, having obviously done the one, more in the winter of last year, when we went to Poland, that sounded like a really good one. It was a place as well down there at the south of France where me and Mrs. Shelano had not really been. She got off a cruise ship around by Nice, but not really done much otherwise down on that coastline. So it was nice to go and see different things and enjoy that, really.
But you say that as well, TA. Going back to that conversation with Liz, you wouldn't have gone there if you were just flying somewhere. It's because it's on the train, and because you're seeing these places and thinking about it based upon where the train goes to, it gives you that different kind of perspective and that different idea of places to go to.
Yeah, I mean, you can fly to Nice within a couple of hours, but I'm not sure it would have been one that would have been on our list. You're quite right. And maybe for some reason, when, in the UK, we talk about flying somewhere for a summer holiday, maybe we think less of somewhere like France. Not as much as we do Spain and Greece has been, probably the more popular destinations, I would suggest.
I think with France, it's that thing though, isn't it? It's like, obviously there's the Eurostar and things like that. But even prior to that, it was the kind of place you went to as a sort of day trip on a ferry, when you were at school and all that kind of thing. And I think it sort of, flights to France aren't something you really think about, like you say.
Well, Mrs. Shelano said weirdly, it's not dissimilar thing. She said, when we were there on the south coast of France, when you think of France, you don't automatically think of this, as in you go to the south, which is completely different, as you say, from Paris or those day trips, which are more, in the north. You don't think about it. And I suppose that's a bit like sort of in the UK, sort of thinking about being in sort of like Newcastle or something, and then going, well, I'm going down to Brighton or Bournemouth. It's a completely different scenario, isn't it? But perhaps if you'd spent your entire time going, in terms of from the UK to France, is we all think about Paris, or people have been the day trips to Calais or whatever. if it was always you day tripped to Newcastle, but you've never been to a Brighton or a Bournemouth. I know it's a weird example, but it's kind of like that. And you get there and go, well, actually, this is beautiful, this coastline down here. This is, fabulous. And it all kind of leads over as well towards Italy. It kind of leads that, didn't go as past Nice, but it goes on to Monaco and all into Italy and stuff. And you go, oh yeah, it's a beautiful coastline down here. And you're right, it opens your mind up to places that you perhaps would think less of going to.
And also, I mean, you've said it there, you have to have those stops, don't you? You couldn't just keep going and be like, oh, fall asleep on the train or like, you need those stops. You need to be able to go and see other places as you're sort of traveling. You need that kind of break in between. And I think that's good as well. And also, like, you think about when people tell you they're going abroad on the plane and they have like a stop off somewhere, and sometimes they don't get a chance to properly explore that stop. So like if you go into Australia, for example, there's always that stop off. I think Dubai is one of the stop offs, isn't it?
It might be now Dubai or Hong Kong or places like that, yeah.
And things like that. And you think like, well, great, get to Dubai, but you don't get a chance to go and explore. You're sort of there, and it's like now you've got to get back on your plane and go back the other way.
So Mr. Shelano talked about this when we were coming. So we did in one day when we'd had a few days, obviously, in the south of France. And when we left there and we were heading to Amsterdam, so we come all the way back up to Paris, which says around the sort of 5-hour mark. We then had a bit of time between then and the Eurostar out to from Paris out to Amsterdam. We came out of the train station and went and had a drink, in Paris, and you get to experience that, which you wouldn't have, which I think is a bit what you're referring to there. Yeah. You're transiting in an airport, you don't see anything. But then actually where you've got an opportunity where you arrive somewhere, if you've got a little bit of time, you think, well, actually I could go and do that. And suddenly you see it in a different experience again. You don't feel like you just sort of sat there in an airport lounge, or you actually feel like you're, again, part of something else, and you have a conversation, with the person at the cafe, the restaurant, whatever it is. So yeah, quite a unique experience, really. But what's been happening in Raging Richland?
Well, there has been a fair bit, hasn't there? There has been the main thing, though, that sort of me and Ruth did the other week, which was really cool, was we went to the National Film and Sci-Fi Museum in Milton Keynes. That was really interesting, actually. It's not kind of like it's very much a niche thing in some respects. Like they have a whole little section dedicated to like Doctor Who. They have a whole section dedicated to Star Trek. Like there's other stuff, like they've got some Indiana Jones stuff, some Star Wars. There you go. I mean, some of it's very niche. I don't know if you and Mrs. Shelano would find as much from it as say I would. Certainly, but it was good. It was an interesting place. They've got like one of the proton packs from Ghostbusters. My favourite thing is the phone booth from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was there as well, and stuff like that. But it's really strange when you get there, because my brother and I used to go to Milton Keynes a lot for Comic Cons that they used to run there. And they used to run a thing called Collectomania, and they ran it in the shopping centre. And this place, this Film and Sci-Fi Museum, is actually right by the shopping centre. Walk up some stairs to go in, and you book at the it's actually where the shop is, the sort of the gift shop. You go there, you book your tickets, you go through. And they've got like a Lego thing there as well, like a Lego experience as well. We didn't do that. They've got like an arcade full of retro 80s and 90s arcade games. They advertised Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, and the Simpsons arcade game and stuff like that. But we went through this film area, and the lady who sort of books you in, because they put a wristband on you, you can leave and go back until close. You can go back in and out as much as you want. She goes, you can't take any photos unless there's a designated photo point. So like you're walking around and the Ghostbusters proton pack is there. You can't take a photo of it. And yet right by the side of it is something else where there's a photo opportunity. I think it was E.T. actually. I think it was the E.T. thing. And we're not going to get into the fact I didn't like the movie.
Oh, it's not that. It's just that I did see a picture of you with E.T. from that day, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. They got Ludo from Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have your picture took with Ludo behind you and stuff. And you're like, okay, great. That's brilliant. But then next to him are all these other characters from other films and things. And, we can't just... So you could kind of try and position yourself slightly so you could fit them into the picture a bit maybe. But that's a little bit of a shame.
Was there a reason for that?
I don't fully know. But what they've chosen's odd as well. There's a TARDIS console. Now, I get that because that's quite a good photo opportunity. It's the old TARDIS from the pre-Christopher Eccleston era of Doctor Who. And you can sort of go and have pictures took there. And then they've got like a Dalek and a snowman from a Christmas special, which is where Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman are both in that one. And Richard E. Grant was in it as well, I think. But it's like, this is a bit like you've got 2 Doctor Who photo ops, but you haven't got a Ghostbusters one. I went rogue because they do have one of the original helmets from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film.
Oh, wow.
That has degraded quite a bit over the years, obviously with the materials that they used and stuff for it. It's such a shame that you couldn't interact with certain things. They could have maybe done a little bit more with the photo ops. That's the only thing I would say. The gift shop is basically a toy shop. And I did at one point say to Ruth, you need to get me out of here before I buy the 1980s Optimus Prime that they had there, the actual original one. And I know it was original because it was made of metal, not plastic. And I was just like, I need to get out of here because I'm going to end up buying that. It was good, and it's a good experience to go to. I think though, with Milton Keynes obviously being the location, and we did go and have something to eat in the shopping centre. But I do think, if you're going to have that as your only reason for going there, it's probably not, something to do. It was a nice little day out. It was a nice day as well. Probably didn't help because it was so warm. It was like,
some good weather, haven't we?
But and then on top of that, I did do a bit of an away day with work at Weston Park.
Okay.
So I got to go there, had a couple of days. There was an overnight stay. There was some amazing food. Oh my God, yeah. And we did do, and I can't remember how much of this I did say to you, but they did a team building exercise. Mm-hmm. And the team building exercise was the Crystal Maze.
Yeah, you mentioned it, yeah.
But it wasn't called the Crystal Maze.
Due to rights.
Well, yeah. But at one point, they called themselves the Crystal Mazed and clearly gotten in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So what they had...
I'm no legal specialist, but I can imagine that.
What they had was these pull-up stands where it said the Crystal Mazed on the thing, but stuck on top of it with a bit of blue tack would be a thing that said the Diamond Labyrinth, because they obviously had to rename it. I will say it was a great laugh. It really was. There's a thing to do. I did really enjoy it. It sounded really cheesy. When we first walked in, it's like, but you really get into it. And they're doing things like there's puzzles that you have to try and solve. They did have a crystal dome at the end, this big inflatable crystal dome. And I will say it was great. It didn't look like much when it was deflated because it was a big inflatable dome thing. But once it had actually been inflated and people were in there and they're blowing the tokens around and stuff, that was really cool as well. So it was a great laugh, and it was a lot of fun, and learned a lot during the 2 days as well. Just really nice to get away and have like a bit of a break. With work, but have a break from work, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it was just nice to do something a little bit different. I think these away days sometimes can become they get a little bit too sort of, you're not going away.
Yeah.
So you're sort of stuck where you work. And it's a bit like the episode of The Office where they do the training and things and stuff like that. It's like, it's
not
nice.
An away day.
Yeah, it's nice to do a proper go and have time away. And where I used to work, used to do some really nice away day stuff. And I got to do some nice experiences. So it was nice just to have something a bit. It was more work than not work, which is unlike where I used to be employed at. But it was great. It was a really good experience, and the food was amazing, to the detriment of my trying to lose weight.
Wow.
Because I know I have said to you, I've started sort of weighing myself weekly at the moment just to try and give myself some accountability. But
because we sort of drifted away from the weigh-ins again, which is a shame. But you did mention that that was the case. But I'm sure you'll get back on track.
Well, this is the thing, because I know we've spoken about this already off air, but I know you've been doing the park runs.
Well, so as I mentioned earlier in the season, obviously I'd done one. I've now done a second one. at a different course. But again, that was another interesting experience. It was probably a slightly more difficult course than the first one I did, made more difficult by the fact, as you're well aware, we'd also been at the pub the night before, which is not great preparations for parkrun, I'll be honest, but it was just one of them things. In terms of, we had friends that were going away and we went for a drink with them. But yeah, and then since that, I've actually been running myself a bit again as well, getting back into the swing of things, trying to, build up the old fitness with that. So I look forward to the fact that you are apparently planning to join me at my next attendance at Parkrun.
I want to point out I'm going to walk it.
Yeah, well, we were coming to that. We were coming to that. I'm not saying you were going to run it or anything like that. That you, like I said, join me in attendance. I didn't say, you're going to, because many people, as we talked about when I did the first one, do walk Parkrun. It's not, you don't have to run it. So I know you've said you're going to come along and you're going to give that a try. Mrs. Shelano is telling me she's also going to attend and going to try and run a parkrun, I think. So it's going to be an interesting day, this. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's great because I've got to get it done in a decent time, because me and my brother have plans to go to the cinema to watch the new Spider-Man movie. So it needs to be that I get round the course in a timely manner. So if I am suddenly finding myself a bit slow, you never know, there might be a bit of a run from me too.
All roads lead back to superhero stuff in one way or another, don't they? Dear me.
I will tell you this, TA, because it was quite funny. So my brother must have said to our folks that we were going to the cinema, but not said what we were going to watch. And my mom said to me, "Oh, what are you going to see?" And I went, "Oh, Spider-Man." She went, "Haven't you seen that before?" And I was like, No, this is a new one. There's lots of Spider-Man films.
I mean, I'm going to have to defend your mom here, in all fairness. There's about 98 versions now, so...
I do have to tell you this. Well, I know you're aware of this because I sent you the message, but it was brilliant. So my brother and I went a few weeks back to watch Masters of the Universe at the cinema. Of course, I really enjoyed it. My brother really enjoyed it. It's very much a people of our age who remember the old cartoon are going to get a lot from it. If you're some of the people that were at the cinema had taken their kids with them, and clearly their kids weren't interested at all. However, I told my mum and dad that it was on Amazon Prime because Amazon released it. It was their film, Amazon Studios. So they put it now on Prime, and my mum and dad watched it. And my mum made the point to text me to say she'd watched it, had not fallen asleep through it, and really enjoyed it, which I thought was brilliant. What a great review that is for the film. Now they want to watch the Dolph Lundgren movie. My mum's like, "Can we watch that?" And I'm like, "Hang on a minute. I've got it. You can borrow it." And I thought, but my dad's already seen it. Now,
A long time ago.
but my dad will have a bit of nostalgia value for it alongside me. I don't think my mom's going to like it very much.
No.
Because in the grand scheme of things, it's not that great a film. I love it. But it's, it's the nostalgia of I was a kid when I watched it at the cinema. And it's that kind of thing. Yeah, Parkrun. I do want to do it. I do want to try and just sort of walk it, just see how I get on and sort of get into that a little bit more of a baseline fitness. And also it just gives you a reason, like something to go and do. It's a bit regular. It doesn't mean go every week, but at least I could say, every few weeks I could go, and something to do that's also not just me kind of having a little walkabout here.
Yeah.
Trying to find things to do and routes to take and stuff.
Yeah, it's community as well, isn't it? In terms of all the people there and that go, and it's, it's positive, really. I mean, on that point with the getting back into the sort of running for me of late, which is something I've not really done much for years, and it's a shame, really, because obviously it's something I've done before. And when we were talking to Shrinking Simo about running, I think, it's obviously done the park run. I'd done one other sort of run myself, and now trying to follow that on a little bit. I think I might have made a slight breakthrough with something. It's something you and I have talked about before, and it's something I know we've talked about with guests. And even in this season, I think we spoke about it with Chris D.T. Gordon. He's like, when, you're not having a great time with things, and we talk about how you then respond. We've both talked about this at times where, you've said you've then eaten loads, and, I've said about how, got the pub and stuff like that when I'm not felt great. I had a bad day the other day. And it's the sort of thing where it would have absolutely 100% of historically got the pub or had a takeaway or didn't do any of those things, you know, actually went for a walk and then the next day got up and went for a run. And I was like, yeah, actually maybe that whole thing about you don't get to choose what happens sometimes that affect your, you know, your day or your life. But I think Chris D.T. Gordon did say, well, you do get to choose how you respond.
Yeah.
And I felt like mentally that was a big breakthrough because it was so close where I could easily have gone and I felt it of like, right, I'm really annoyed, you know, and I didn't then do that. And I did something more positive. And I want to try and then tap more into that mindset. And, you know, again, like you talk about with fitness and weight loss and eating better and all that, is when those bad times happen, that respond in a more positive way is going to be better.
I'm wondering, I mean, you're probably already sort of doing it a little bit anyway, so it doesn't probably work in that way. But you know, like the couch to 5K,
yeah,
kind of thing. Is it maybe worth like getting that app, even though you're sort of probably more advanced than the beginning parts of it?
So, I mean, the thing with that is obviously I can run 5K in terms of having done park runs. And
yeah.
So I think the problem with that for me would be following that is for somebody who isn't even able to do what I can do.
Well, okay. In that case, then, is it worth looking at potentially doing a running event? Is it worth actually saying as a goal?
Oh, you mean like a 10K or something?
Yeah, like, is it worth saying, well, actually, you know what? Maybe next year when they also, because we're kind of coming to the end of those events now, aren't we?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So probably saying, well, actually, what about, because you might even set yourself a target of a 10K and you might suddenly go, well, actually, I could probably do something a bit more than that or something.
I mean, at my most of running, which is many, many years ago now, I think I got up to around the 10K mark was what I could do. Whereas at the moment, you know, I'm just about can scrape 5K really. So there is a target to build from the 5K to 10K. We need a 5K to 10K app. If only I knew the king of IT. I do know the king of IT. Here we go. 5K to 10K app, 10K to half marathon app or whatever. But no, absolutely I could with discipline at this point actually and dropping a bit of the weight because it will make it easier. And I've said this from the park runs I've done. You know, it's one thing doing park run when you're a more sensible weight. But, you know, for you and I, obviously, when you've got that extra weight as well, it is so much more difficult. So, yeah, I think the idea of, you know, dropping a bit of weight, continuing to build that and work up to like a 10K is achievable, certainly. And we know, again, going back to the chat with Shrinking Simo about what he did in terms of starting from, you know, a kind of a couch to 5K and going all the way to them running like a half marathon kind of thing. So, yeah, it's achievable.
I think so, yeah.
But it's the mindset thing, I think, is can myself and can we get to that point where when the bad thing kicks that you go, I'm not going to do the negative thing that is the natural inclination, I'll do something more positive.
I mean, I've tried to do that a little bit more. It's been hard. I am getting a little bit better at it. I'm trying not to buy myself as much of the sort of things that I just randomly eat because they're there and I'm like, right, I'm having that or any of that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this park run or walking the park run, shall we say. I know you said to me, oh, why don't you like think about doing the volunteering and being the tail walker? And I said, yeah, I don't think that'd be for me. I'd rather do it that I can walk at my pace and sort of do it because I feel like, you know, 45 minutes to an hour sort of time of walking would potentially be the thing I could do. I want to try and do it a bit more regularly and then potentially looking at maybe running. I don't know. Again, it's the weight thing and my knees are in a state, as we know, so far worse than yours.
So I do think with that, you talk about the couch to 5K. I think that would be the test for you actually is if you tried that and was like, is this for me or not to some degree? And I think that's the only balance with that really is to give that go. But on the walking point, off the back of the preparations for the charity walk and having done the charity walk, we know we can do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing as well, that people often get put off by things because they feel unachievable or they can't do it. Well, we now know for a fact we've done that. So we know it's achievable to be able to go and for you to walk a 5K when you walked nearly 20K, that's a good thing to do. And as you say, it just keeps that fitness level going, and getting you out and about as well is a positive. So yeah, that's been good. That's been a good thing I've found. It's very recently getting into this, I suppose. But it's a different balance for me as well from doing the Shaun T workouts. It's something a bit different and as well. So.
Well, I think on my side of things, obviously the thing that I was really getting into was the cooking, and that's kind of gone a bit to the side. So trying to get back into that as well, getting a bit more into the cooking side of things, using the air fryer a bit more as well, and things like that. So yeah, actually you mentioned Shrinking Simo there. I don't know if you've seen on his Instagram, he's doing a bit of cooking stuff now.
Okay.
And he did tortilla wrap pizzas.
Okay.
That he'd done in the oven and stuff like that. And I actually saw it. I mean, that looks really nice, actually. I might give that a go. And I did comment on his post and he replied to it. So yeah, I'm thinking I need to get back into the cooking thing, because I was doing really well with that, and it's kind of tailed off this year. Just trying to do a bit more, trying to get some more recipes. As I got a few new cookbooks and stuff to try. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, we'll see what season 8 brings.
We will indeed. And we will be back with our season finale next week, podcasters, where we close out our support of the Age UK Act Now, Age Better campaign. TA, do you want to let them know who the guest is going to be?
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted that we will be joined by the CEO of Age UK, Paul Farmer, who's going to obviously come and have a chat with us. So really looking forward to that to close out the season.
So thank you very much again, broadcasters, for listening. Really do appreciate you giving us your time listening to this podcast, and we shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Want more middle-aged podcast in your life? Of course you do. Follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes stuff, extra larks, and all our latest updates.
We're on Instagram and Threads at Middle-aged Bodcast.
Facebook's easier. Just head to facebook.com/middle-aged podcast.
If you're still hanging on to Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, we're at Middle-aged Bodcast.
And if you're on Blue Sky, it's at middleagedpodcast.bsky.social.
Or you can swing by our website, middleagedpodcast.co.uk.
Give us a follow and stay in the loop.
Cheers for listening.